Simon Cowell's rise to fame is the kind of story that feels larger than life, but its roots are deeply human. A man once overlooked in the corners of the entertainment world would go on to become one of its most commanding forces. From a quiet, uncertain boy to the unrelenting face of global talent television, Cowell carved his empire not with charm or polish, but with brutal honesty and a razor-sharp instinct for stardom. He wasn't born into greatness. In fact, his early years gave little hint of the mogul he'd become. Born in 1959 in Lambeth, London, Simon grew up in Hertfordshire, surrounded by pressure but starved of warmth. His mother, a graceful ballet dancer, floated in and out of his life like a distant figure. His father, a successful but stoic music executive, offered high standards but rarely affection. "He never told me he was proud," Simon once confessed. That silence lingered. School wasn't a safe haven either. Simon struggled to fit in. He bounced from Radlett Prep to Dover College, never quite finding his place. Rebellious, disinterested, and failing academically, he eventually dropped out, directionless. His father, perhaps out of guilt, handed him a mailroom job at EMI Records. It was his first taste of the industry, but only the crumbs. He delivered coffee to producers who barely acknowledged him, watching fame from a distance like a child with his nose pressed against the glass. He left EMI defeated. But reality offered no escape. Job after job slipped through his fingers. Eventually, he returned to EMI with nothing but humiliation in his pocket. Yet in the ashes of self-doubt, something hardened. Quiet defiance sparked inside him. In 1983, with no pedigree but relentless hunger, Cowell co-founded Fanfare Records. It was far from glamorous, selling exercise tapes and novelty songs, but it was his. Then came a sliver of success, Sanitas So Macho. It wasn't a global smash, but it kept the lights on. He started to believe. But belief wasn't enough. Fanfare collapsed in 1989, dragging Simon into bankruptcy. He moved back home, sleeping in the same childhood bed he once dreamed of escaping. He was nearly 30, penniless, and deeply ashamed. "I used to cry in the bathroom after work," he later admitted. "I thought that was it, I'd peaked." But failure didn't finish him. It shaped him. He clawed his way back into the industry, brick by painful brick. He joined BMG as an A&R consultant, and there, he began cultivating his superpower, spotting talent before the world did. He signed acts the industry mocked, Power Rangers, wrestling theme songs, and novelty records, but Simon wasn't chasing critical praise. He was chasing mass appeal. Then, in the early 2000s, everything changed. Pop Idol launched in the UK, and Cowell wasn't just behind the scenes anymore. He stepped in front of the camera, and the world was instantly divided. His blunt, ruthless critiques turned him into a lightning rod for controversy. But audiences were hooked. He wasn't performing, he was being real. His honesty cut deep, and fans couldn't look away. That success birthed American Idol, where Cowell became a household name in the U.S. At his peak, he earned $75 million a year. Then came the X Factor and Got Talent, franchises that expanded his empire to over 70 countries. He wasn't just a judge. He was now an architect of global pop culture. But the power came with backlash. He was nicknamed Mr. Nasty, accused of manipulating emotions, of being cruel. Cowell stood firm. If you lie to people about their talent, you steal their dreams. To him, truth was a gift, even when it hurt. By 2010, Cowell had minted stars: Leona Lewis, One Direction, Susan Boyle. He had the fame, the fortune, and the legacy. But inside, something was crumbling. "I'd lie in bed and wonder, is this really it?" he said. The work, once thrilling, had become a treadmill. Fame didn't heal him. It widened the cracks. Then came the scandal that shattered his carefully curated image. In 2013, news broke that Cowell was expecting a child with Lauren Silverman, the wife of his close friend. The fallout was brutal. Headlines exploded. Friends turned away. The betrayal was public and personal. For a man who thrived on control, this was chaos. And yet, amid the storm came something unexpected, a son. Eric Cowell was born in 2014, and with him came a profound transformation. Simon, the relentless tycoon, began to slow down. He traded red carpets for bedtime routines, private jets for Lego sets. It was foreign territory, gentleness, vulnerability, fatherhood. "My world completely changed," he said. It wasn't about shows anymore. It was about him. But redemption didn't erase the pain. The scandal left scars. "I lost friends. I lost trust," Cowell reflected. "But I gained something I never knew I needed." The guilt lingered, a quiet shadow. But it pushed him to be better, not for the public but for Eric. Those close to him saw the shift. Cowell wasn't just dialing back his work hours. He was showing up, at school events, at dinner, in life. Fatherhood saved him, one colleague said. He was on a dark path. And maybe that was the miracle. Not in avoiding mistakes, but in what we do after we make them. Then came the final blow. In 2015, Simon lost his mother, Julie, his last emotional anchor. The grief hollowed him. He buried himself in work, moving through days like a ghost. "I had never felt so alone," he said. The man who once ruled the entertainment world with an iron now couldn't recognize the face in the mirror. In 2020, a terrible accident nearly ended everything. While testing an electric bike at home, Cowell crashed and broke his back in multiple places. Surgery followed. Rods in his spine, months of immobility, and the terrifying possibility of never walking again. "I thought this might be it," he confessed. "Not just the end of my career, of everything." But he fought. Slowly, painfully, he recovered. Rebuilt. Relearned how to stand, how to walk, how to live. Today, Simon Cowell stands not just as a media mogul, but as a man who's faced every storm, public and private, and kept going. His story isn't just about fame or fortune. It's about resilience, transformation, and the quiet redemption found in the love of a child. He may never fully outrun his past, but he's no longer trying to. He's building something new. Not for ratings, but for love.